Wherever you are and however you may be listening, we are live. My name is Hassan Riggs. I'm the founder CEO at Smart Alto, and we are live. We got a great session for you today. We have a great session for you today. We're here with CJ Evins, and he is the team lead of Home Sales by CJ from Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to talk to CJ, and he's going to share how he basically went from zero sales to more than 2 million per month. That's 2 million per month in a little under 2 years, right? A little under 2 years, about 2 years, how he went from zero sales to over 2 million in a little under 2 years. Again, my name is Hassan Riggs. I'm the founder and CEO at Smart Alto. And right now I'm coming to you directly from Washington, D.C. And we're going to talk about how you get leads to the lenders. How do you get home buyers to the lender? CJ is going to share with us the tips, the tricks, the strategies, the tools that he uses in order to make it happen. He's going to share with you the process and give you a behind the scenes peek at how he's really grown his business, how he's built this team, the tools that he uses, the emails that he sends, the text messages that he sends. He's really pulling back the curtain for you because you are a member of the Real Estate Marketing Mastermind Group. This is a private group. It's members only. This is about learning. It's about sharing. It's about giving back to the community for all the industries that we love. Hey, and by the way, if you're looking at this right now and you want to share, this is a conversation, right? And you want to share a little bit more about who you are, and so I can see the comments, there should be a little button that says, I'm broadcasting with Ecamm Live. I want you to take a moment and I want you to hit that button. Hit that button so that I can see who you are. I see there's a lot of people watching right now. There's some people making comments in the comments. I cannot always see who you are, so you need to hit that button. It's one of the privacy settings that Facebook has put together. So now that we have a little bit of the housekeeping out the way, CJ, how about you take a moment just to introduce yourself to everyone and let them know who you are?
All right, cool. Appreciate it. Not really going to do a super long intro, but like I said, my name is CJ Evans, team leader of Home Sales by CJ here in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Currently, we're operating in Atlanta, Georgia, South Florida, and starting up Virginia and Hassan, your home state, Alabama. But pretty much I mean, like you said, just to touch on it briefly, I've been in sales for about 5 years total right now. A little under 3 years, just looking at the calendar, 3 years as far as a real estate license professional in Georgia. But yeah, I mean, pretty much we started off in 2017. And like I said, we did one transaction for $214,000, 214,900 dollars to be exact. And that was the only transaction we did all year. But now 2019, we're consistently doing $2 million in sales at a minimum. Sometimes we get up to 3.5, and it's mainly in part due to online marketing and some of the strategies that we put in place that we're going to be talking about today.
Great, great, fantastic, man. I appreciate you sharing some of that experience with y'all. Obviously, I appreciate you being with us today, and I'm sure a lot of folks out there in the audience they appreciate it as well. So, CJ, as I've gotten to know you over the past couple of months, it's been really interesting. And one of the things that I've been most impressed by is it's just your ability to kind of build out systems, build out tools, right, and really focus on the most important things. So one of the things you and I we talk about a lot is keeping it simple. Controlling the controllables, focusing on what you can control. So, can you just share, like, big picture? You basically went from zero sales to selling more than $2 million per month in a little under 2 years. What's the biggest key to your success, would you say? I know there are a lot of things to go into it, but we had to simplify it. What's some of the key things that stick out to you?
Really just the systems and just keeping it simple, not doing too much. You don't need a whole lot of things and a whole lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
It's really just the systems, making sure they're fine tuned and making sure that your team is well equipped and familiar with the systems, and then putting the pieces together. So it's really simple. I mean, the thing I see in the marketplace now, with everything being sold to us as real estate professionals, it's too much to choose from, and we get bombarded. We put a lot on our plate, and then we can't figure it out.
Yep.
So we got 20 moving pieces inside of operation, and that just won't work. So, like we talked about earlier, and like we'll dive in a little bit today, like our system from customer acquisition to lender is only 5 steps. So we like to keep it simple.
Yeah. So keeping it simple, really focusing on the things that kind of works for you. Obviously, you're down in the Atlanta metro area. Talk to me a little bit about who you're going after. Is it first time home buyers? Is it luxury folks? Is it people in condos, millennials, old folk? Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
So our demographic here is mainly first-time home buyers, anywhere from millennial to the 45, 50-year-old client as well. There's really we kind of don't have a sweet spot when it comes to age.
Yeah.
We just have a lot of first-time home buyers here because that's just what the market is in Atlanta. So many
Yeah.
people have traditionally rented here.
Hmm.
So now we're turning a lot of those buyers, well, those renters into buyers.
Hmm.
But it's mainly first-time home buyers. We do have some luxury clients. That's not really our bread and butter. Bread and butter is definitely first-time home buyer by far.
Got it. So one of the things you've been talking about is one of the biggest keys to your success is A, keeping it simple, B, really focusing on the systems and tools that you have in place. So talk to us a little bit about that specifically. What technology do you use in your business? Why do you use it? Maybe you've tried a lot of things and you've shifted back and forth, but like walk us through what systems do you have, what tools do you have, and why you chose those things specifically.
Okay, yeah. But just to go into the technology side of it, we only use, like I said, we keep everything pretty much streamlined. So right now for online, for what we're going to be diving most to today, Facebook ads, um, like from either setting them up ourselves, social agent, lead source management. Shout out to Luis and William over there at LSM. And as far as the CRM, we're using Perfect Storm, Zapier to actually pull in the leads into the systems, and of course, Smart Alto as well as Acuity scheduling to just to keep ourselves organized as far as schedule calls, appointments, things like that.
Got it. So you're using a couple of different things, right? So you're doing your own Facebook ads. You're using Perfect Storm as your CRM. You got Smart Alto to do like live messaging and engagement. One of the questions we get asked a lot, I get asked a lot, and I believe someone asked it to me today in the group, is just around like what CRM to use. And so right now you use Perfect Storm, but you've tried a lot of
Yeah, I mean, we
you've tried a lot of CRMs out there, right?
a lot of them, KV Core, Follow Up Boss, Lions Desk, all those different things, just to kind of name a few. And we still try them on a consistent basis as new CRMs come about and they improve, just to make sure that we're still getting the most out of a CRM and we're not stagnant with one just because that's what we're familiar with.
Yeah.
But Perfect Storm has been able to keep up with what we're doing, and also provide us the same quality as far as follow up and keeping track as far as data and analytics. That's mainly what we use Perfect Storm for, as far as the email campaigns and also the analytics that it provides about each client.
But so to be clear, you've tried AV Core and you've tried, Follow Up Boss. Is it something that you liked about those tools too, but just decided Perfect Storm was like the best fit for you?
Stone was the best for us just because it kind of came in a complete package. It was a
Yeah.
front end website which we needed, and it was also a back office CRM, as well as it was loaded with email drips and text campaigns at the time that we were using before you and I met, and we switched over to Smart Alto. We were using the text message campaigns that were inside of there already pre-made. But now since using Smart Alto, we let Smart Alto do the text message, and we just rely on Perfect Storm for the email drip campaigns and DL, like our home search to our IDX feed for the home buyer profile, just showing us what they're searching for. That's what we rely on the CRM for. But Smart Alto has our text message taken care of.
Got it. So walk me through then. Walk me through your process. So you're running Facebook ads, and then you send those like basically through Zapier. And what
Right.
happens, right? You send that Facebook lead to Perfect Storm to Smart Alto. What happens in Perfect Storm? Like are you sending out automated emails? Like what happens with that? Walk me through that process.
Yeah, so when the lead comes in on Facebook, it's Zapier automatically pulls it into Perfect Storm and Smart Alto simultaneously. So immediately from Perfect Storm, they get a welcome email from the site that just says thank you for contacting the home sales by CJ team and using our online search tool. And that gives them their profile credentials, and then they can actually go in there and start searching for homes on their own and make that list of homes that they're looking for. And then we get the back data on the end that shows where they're looking at its price points, features, and it just gives us a list of data that we can kind of go off of. So when we go back and do our own search, we're lining it up exactly with what they're looking for. And then at the same time, Smart Alto then initiates the text message thread, and they're actually engaging with the client, going back and forth through text message. And then we allow that to actually play out, and depending on how that actually plays out, that determines how we actually proceed with the lead. If they engage with Smart Alto and have a conversation, then we follow up with the call. Then we essentially just move that client over to an email drip. We actually don't call clients currently that don't engage with Smart Alto.
Yeah, yeah. So when the lead comes in through Perfect Storm, you're not sending them a list of homes. Then you're not sending them a list of homes. They're using the Perfect Storm IDX, and they can log in, and then you can see what that person is searching. And am I understanding that right?
Yep. So we allow them, we pretty much put the ball in their court. We let them search for their own homes, and then we take over. And like I said, we just review the data and just see what they're looking for. So if we see um, Smyrna, Georgia, which is west of Atlanta,
Yeah.
and we see that you're looking at 3 to 4 bedrooms out there at a certain price point of 250. Then once we circle back and have that conversation for you, well, with you, then we can reference that. And what it's doing, it's an easier phone call because we're not having to ask repetitive questions like, hey, where do you want to be? How much are you looking for? Like, what are you liking and stuff like that. It's kind of like we're playing like we just have an eye in the sky, because they don't know we get that data, but we're looking at the data
Yeah.
and we just have an inside track to what they want. So houses on the other side of town, just for you to tell me, no, that's not where I want to be. I just go with what the behaviors of the client are.
Got it. And so a lot of these people then they're they're coming through Facebook. And so about 70%, I believe, of your business is like online leads, right? It's like, and it's primarily Facebook. You're not doing Zillow, you're not doing Realtor.com, you're not doing Homes.com. You're controlling and managing your own leads through Facebook, and 70% of your business is coming directly from Facebook. And so one of the things that people ask me a lot about is, what are the best places to get leads? I get that question. It's probably one of the most common questions I get. And people often say that, Facebook leads, they're not very good. And I firmly believe that every single lead is viable, right? Every lead is viable. I don't believe,
Yep.
this is a very controversial thing to say. I don't believe there's a thing as a bad lead. As long as you have a legit name, telephone number, and email address, that's a warm body. It's not a bad lead. There's just people who are at different stages of the funnel. Some people, you have, top,
Right.
middle, and bottom of the funnel. Some people may be ready to buy now. That's the bottom of the funnel. That's the low hanging fruit. But then you have other people who may be 3, 6, 9, 12 months away from like being ready to purchase a home, but it doesn't mean they're a bad lead. It's about how do you go about building a relationship with those folks. So walk me through and walk everyone through How are you so successful with these Facebook leads that everyone else is saying they're having a tough time getting a hold of, talking to, and converting and getting to the lender? What are you doing different?
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is, I mean, we, like you said, I mean, we have the same philosophy. There's no such thing as a bad lead. So whatever lead comes in, no matter what the timeline is, we work the lead to what the timeline is. Whether it's a immediate buy, if they're a 30-day mover, then we'll work it as a 30-day mover. But even if they don't need to buy or aren't ready to buy for 24 months, that's still a valuable lead to us because essentially we've paid money for it. So we're
Yeah.
going to work it pretty much to the best of our ability. So, I mean, so also like about, well, me personally, that's what I like about Perfect Storm and also Smart Alto. We have these drip plans and campaigns in place to where they would take you out to 36 months. Some of them are even 48 months. So even if you're not ready to buy, we'll still keep you in the system. We'll still keep you on that drip plan. We'll still keep top of mind with the client. So when they do get ready to buy,
Yeah.
we have it. But that's the main thing that's been able to keep the pipeline full and also the numbers high is because these leads we're getting in the month of June may not be ready to buy in June. They may be ready by September.
Mm.
So we don't prospect for leads that we're in the current month for or as we like to say, we don't prospect today to pay rent tomorrow. We prospect 3 months ago to pay rent today. So that's the main thing what you have to understand with these Facebook leads and leads and prospecting in general. It's a long term game.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. So walk me through that again. You said you don't. I'm gonna steal that from you, by the way. I'm gonna give you credit. But I'm gonna steal that. You said you don't prospect today to pay bills tomorrow. Is that what you said? Or what did you say again?
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
prospect.
Don't prospect today to pay rent tomorrow.
Yeah, don't prospect today to pay rent tomorrow. So I think that's such an important thing to understand that. So one of the things, when I was in ISA and even in my current business right now, one of the things that I talk about, I, I coach people on, even my team or agents that I speak to, and we work with, top producing agents, team leads, and brokers all around the country, people who are doing well and they want to do better, right? And so we talk to these folks trying to better understand some of the things that they're doing in their space. And one of the trends that I've noticed is that, the people who are most successful in business, they're planters. Everyone else is going around picking. They're picking fruit. They're trying to
Mhm.
pick the low hanging fruit, and that can be important because you need to eat today, right? That can be important, picking the fruit. But the real winners in the business are people who plant seeds and cultivate the garden. If you'll follow me on this metaphor, right? Because you got to
Right.
invest in the long game. You got to invest in your business. And what I find is that most folks don't treat their business like a business. They treat it more like a hobby. But the real professionals, they treat
Right.
their business like a business. They invest in the long game. They plant seeds. They cultivate the garden. They build relationships. They focus on the people who are 3, 6, 9 months away, working on building a relationship with those folks. And so when they do get 6, 3, 2, 1 month away from purchasing a home, who are they going to choose? They're going to choose you because you're the one who has the relationship with them. You're the one who's been talking to them. You understand their needs, wants, and expectations when everyone else has just been trying to sell them a house, right? And so it doesn't matter how many other Facebook ads they see, how many other Facebook ads they respond to, how many other realtors they may chat with. You are the source of information with them, and you have the valuable relationship with them, right? And so I love that, the fact that you and I, we kind of speak the same language when it comes to planting seeds, cultivating gardens, making sure that you're building relationships with folks. Very valuable. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's do a quick check in
Most
right
definitely. I
here.
mean, especially, I mean, nowadays, I mean,
Go ahead.
in our market, I mean, everyone's an agent here. In Atlanta, everyone's an agent. So, I mean, um, if if you don't keep in contact with a lead that you prospected for, just say June, in September they may be ready to buy,
Mhm.
and most clients actually go with the first realtor that they speak to once they're actually in the mind frame of buying.
Mhm.
So if we stay on top of mind with our email campaigns and our follow ups, then we secure a lot better chances that they come back to us instead of just retreat when they're ready to buy, and then they end up going there because that's lost like customer acquisition cost to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So let's get. So we've used the first half of this to really talk about your strategy, your approach, a couple of the tools. Let's get real practical. Let's talk about some of the steps that you use. Earlier today, you mentioned that there are like 4 or 5 steps that you use to get these Facebook leads over to your lender and to the closing table. What are some of those steps? Maybe you can walk us through them at a high level, and then maybe we can kind of take it from there, diving down a little bit. Because I know you talked about a couple of them earlier, but let's kind of put it all together for folks.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, the first step that we do, like I said, is the Facebook ads, Perfect Storm, and Smart Alto.
Hmm.
So in a perfect world, once they actually engage with Smart Alto and they have a conversation, that's when we follow up with the phone call and we have that initial consultation with them. And what that actually looks like, I mean, it's just a conversation. We're not trying to upsell them on anything, or even really sell them on getting to the lender. The main thing that we found out has been the most successful is just having a conversation with them and kind of debunking the myths about home buying that they have.
Yeah.
Whether that be credit scores or how much money you need saved and stuff like that. So we educate them, give them all the information that they need in that 30-minute, 40-minute phone call. And then once they have all their questions answered, then it's an easy transition because we've built a rapport and now they actually make the decision of moving over to the lender when when they're actually ready. 9 times out of 10, once we have that conversation, they're ready to speak to the lender because now they kind of see that it may be easier than what they expected. But even in a rare case where they're not ready to go to the lender, we still treat it the same as far as follow up. We keep them in the follow up. We keep answering questions as they need them, and then once they're ready to go, over to the lender, it makes the lender their job a whole lot easier and they can process them a lot quicker. So, because they're not having to sell them on programs or sending in their documents and applying and all these things because we've done that work for them.
Hmm.
So it actually built a better relationship with our lenders because now what our lenders are doing and what they're seeing, shorter processing time. So
Yeah.
they get applications a whole lot quicker than what they used to. They're able to process them in 24 to 48 hours typically, and then we get them shopping. So it makes it a whole lot easier. So their time is shortened on the lending side.
Hmm.
So now they're actually getting us. I mean, our lenders actually contribute now to our marketing budget because they want more of the qualified leads that we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our process in a simple terms. I mean, but like we said earlier, um, most of the qualifying happens once they touch base with us. It's not even when they get to the lender.
Yeah.
When the team agent have that conversation with them, like we qualify them, and then it's an easy handoff to the lender.
So is it something that you're doing and that your agents are doing specifically to qualify that person? Like, are you understanding what the kind of what the lender is thinking about, the programs they have? Do you put any additional training and focus on that area?
Yep. So what we actually implemented was really turning the agents into essentially junior loan officers.
Got it.
And what I'm going into the programs, having conversations consistently and on weekly and monthly basis with our preferred lenders and seeing what these programs look like, what changes are being made in underwriting, and what they're looking for once they go into these files, and that's actually helping us qualify them on the front end. And then what we also do is once we actually get files over to the lender, as they're under contract, we monitor them super closely and we see what hiccups, if any, have come up and how we are actually able to work through them. So once we see something, if we see a certain instance where a file almost got derailed in underwriting, we know exactly how to address it and we know if that's a workable issue
Got it.
for the future client. So when they come back and say, "Hey, I got this issue," or "I went to this lender and my file fell out of underwriting because of this," we've known that we have successfully overcame that issue. So I can say, "Hey, let's connect you with this lender, and it won't be a problem." And then we know exactly what to talk to the lender about. Say, "Hey, this was the scenario, and this is what we need to overcome," and then we can actually work that and ultimately get a lifelong client because someone else dropped the ball and we're able to pick it up.
Yeah. That sounds like providing a lot of value not only to the home buyer at that sense, but also to the lender because you're doing part of the work for the lender, already qualifying the person to a sense and understanding their needs, their programs that they have, and being able to then turn around to the home buyer and say, don't worry, don't worry about your concerns. You already said it's your first time buying a house. What did you work mostly with first time home buyers? What's your average price range that you're dealing with in your market?
In Georgia right now, last year average home sale was about, well, for us roughly about 215 to 220, roughly 225. Now it's on the higher side of about 250,
Okay,
just because of the way our market is thriving right now. So average price point right now is about 250, 275.
okay. So you're dealing with people in that basically mid 200s range, and these people are first time home buyers, and a lot of them they just may be a little apprehensive. You know, one of the things I share with folks all the time is that no one is really excited to talk to your lender. People want to go see homes, regardless of whether they can afford them or not, right? And so
Yeah, exactly.
it does take some emotional intelligence and a little sales skills in order to get that person over to your lender. So what happens? What do you do when you call a person and they don't answer the phone? So maybe the person came through Facebook lead, came through. You put them in Perfect Storm, put them in Smart Alto. You're sending them emails with Perfect Storm, your CRM. Smart Alto is following up with them and texting them, and then they respond. And then Smart Alto says, "Hey, CJ team, call this person." You pick up the phone, you call them, they don't answer. What now? What you do?
So what we do, like I said, super simple. We just like anything else. You call and you leave a message. But once we call and leave a message, we typically, unless we get a response back and say, "Hey, I'm not available to talk right now. I may be available at this time."
Yeah.
We typically, like what we've been trying out recently, and like probably since first end of first quarter. We actually don't call them back. We call them once we leave a message, and then we actually set them to whatever like respective campaign that they need to be on, whether it be a email drip or a text drip. Because what we found is the more we call people that we can't touch base with, the harder it becomes
Mm,
because they start to resonate our contact numbers
yeah.
as robocalls and like telemarketers. So they ultimately stop answering the phone versus us just relying on that email and text drip, and then we can just get them engaged that way. And most of them actually end up responding to an email drip or a text drip, and then we actually schedule a call and like let them pick the time again, and then we like actually try to set an appointment that way. And typically, that second go round, we're able to connect with them.
Yeah.
Um, being just because of the things we're actually pushing out in the holiday plans or Smart Alto and also like our email campaign. So it's usually something of value in there to get them to respond.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And so, like when you were talking, something that came to mind for me is when I was young, so I had an older brother when I was like figuring out like how to date. You know, I'm a teenager. I'm a little clunky. I'm not quite sure what to do, what to say. One of the things that my older brother told me is he said, "Hey, the more you pursue that pretty girl, the faster she's going to walk away."
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's an interesting perspective, right? Because sometimes you just need to play it a little cool and let people come to you, right?
Yeah,
And it sounds like that's the approach that you've taken. Now I know some top producers all around the country, and they will continue to call until someone picks up the phone and tells them to stop, right? But you've taken a different approach to grow your business, and it's been working very successfully for you. So I think that goes to show that there's no right or wrong way in order to manage the business, grow the business. The worst thing that you can do is nothing and stop and just say, well,
yeah,
I called the person one time, or Smart Alto told me to call the person, and when I called them, they didn't answer the phone, and so I guess they really don't want to talk to me, and woe is me, and I'm not going to make any money this year. That's probably
right, exactly.
that's probably not the best way, to approach it.
I wouldn't recommend that route. I mean, but I've had mentors on both sides.
Mm,
I mean, I've had the training as far as hard no sell, like you said, call until they tell you stop calling.
mm,
And we've tried that, and it works sometimes, but overwhelming majority, that's not kind of what we're seeing success with. So we kind of take the back seat and kind of let them come back to us.
yeah.
I mean, of course, like we're not completely letting our foot off the gas as far as follow up,
Mm,
but we're not consistently hounding them with calls just because we don't want to put that pressure on them.
mm,
And us in the real estate world, I mean, of course, we deal with this on a daily basis, so it seems not that intense to us. But from a consumer standpoint, it's still a intimidating process, so we don't like to make it any worse as
mm.
far as hounding them.
Cool, cool. So let me take a quick moment, CJ, and let me just kind of pop into the comments. We got a lot of comments here. People asking questions. They're really enjoying the content that you're sharing. So I want to see if there's any questions here that we can answer for folks before we wrap up here in the next couple of minutes. And so, saying, uh, CJ, what's your average price point? Hey, Greg, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see you here. Good to see you. We kind of answered that question earlier. He says around 250 or so. That's his average price point. Julian, you said the CRM that he's using. It's called Perfect Storm. That's the CRM. So, CJ, he's used Follow Up Balls, KV Core, Perfect Storm. He's used a lot of CRMs. He's tested a lot of them out there in the marketplace. For him and his team right now, he's landed on Perfect Storm. He feels like Perfect Storm has a pretty good IDX, and it can track the behavior that people have. So he can see what houses they're browsing, et cetera, et cetera. So he kind of managed that process. So he's kind of settled on Perfect Storm as his CRM. Alina said, CJ, do you go straight lead ads or do you do videos or bots too? Or are you only doing lead ads?
So no bots, only straight lead ads. So um, our most successful is first time home buyer ads, just marketing uh, down payment assistance programs.
Okay.
And only thing that we use is, like I said, Facebook ads and Perfect Storm, Smart Alto as far as communication. So no bots.
Have you tried any video at all? I know. So one of the folks who I'm going to do a Facebook live session with probably in the middle of November. I'm sorry, in the middle of July. Wesley Croft. I don't know if Wesley is here, but if you are here, Wesley, say hello to everyone. He is really good at doing video ads to brand himself to his local marketplace. He said that has been working extremely well for him because when people see videos of you, they feel like they know, like, trust you, they have a relationship with you, you're able to show your personality a bit, and is able to kind of warm up the audience a bit. And so he's been using that. But you said you haven't done any video. You've mostly focused on the lead ads, and that's been working really well with you for you, you would say.
Yep, we haven't actually tapped into video
Yeah.
quite yet. I mean, that's something that we're exploring, especially going into as we start to step into different markets. We're going to try that, but we actually haven't yet. Because what we were originally doing when we started growing and we started seeing going from zero to upwards of 2 million, our whole thought was scale,
Yeah.
like get everything bigger. Let's
Yeah.
do bigger numbers. We need more personnel. We need more of a budget. We need more of this. And we did that. We expanded the team to, I think we had about 11, 12 people at one time.
Mhm.
And we did so much worse as far as production. And I remember I was actually out in San Diego having a meeting with Cameron Harold, um, one of the COO coaches that are out there in his mastermind. And he said, stop focus on scaling and start focus on making your process repeatable.
Yeah.
So what we actually did, we stripped everything down, made it super simple, and we just now we're able to duplicate it. So what we have working in Georgia here is able to now translate over to Virginia, Florida, Alabama, wherever else we want to go without having to change anything. It's just a different personnel that will be on the ground, but the systems are the same.
Hmm. So you kind of shifted your mindset to being focusing on, bigger is better to being more efficient, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because like I said, it was it's we thought it was going to do better. I mean, the common conception is, hey, if I have more, I can do more.
Yeah.
But that actually was not the case. We just needed to hone in on the skills, and we also had to make sure we had everyone playing the right position.
Yeah.
Because we also had some people that were just in the wrong spots. We had some agents that were um, performing as traditional real estate agents, but they didn't have the necessary sales skills. So we shifted some of those to showing agents to allow the other agents to actually sell and not have to show as many houses. So we worked with what we had and kind of just put ourselves on an island as far as if we had no other resources, how can we would just work with what we have now and blow it up? And that's what we end up doing.
Got it. Love it. Love it. So we're going to wrap up here in a minute. I just want to share a couple of things with you. If you're enjoying CJ and you're enjoying the valuable information that he's kind of taking his time out of the day, please put it in the comments. Share it with them. Give him a big shout out. I think it's a lot of great information here, and definitely appreciate you sharing that. I want you to remember that we have another Facebook Live coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be with Steve Jolly. Steve is going to share with us basically a presentation that's called Digital Marketing Tools for Fun and Profit. He's going to talk about the systems that he used, and anytime you have systems, you need principles to kind of guide those systems. He's also going to talk a little bit more about the tools that he uses as well within his business down in Nashville, Tennessee, to grow rapidly fast. So, stay tuned for some of that that's coming up over the next couple of weeks. Okay, I'll be sharing that info with folks. So anyway, so bouncing back here. So CJ, one of the things that you shared with me earlier is that you do something different with your emails. Right, so I'm a big proponent, and I talk about this all the time. And I'm very provocative with this, right? Because I believe you got to take a stance somewhere. And, if you need to, if the goal here is to build a relationship with people, if we believe that relationships drive businesses forward, they drive real estate forward, they drive sales forward, then we can believe that the sale is made when the relationship is built.
Right.
The sale is made when the relationship is built. So you need to remove all the friction in the process to building a relationship with people. And the first step to building a relationship with people is to start a conversation. And the easiest way to start a conversation is through text message. So I'm a big proponent of text message. Obviously, I'm biased. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means I'm biased. But you also, I'm also an open-minded person, and you've done some things with email that you think are different, that gets a better response than maybe what other people are doing with email. You mentioned stuff about like having regular conversations with folks, sending them stuff about restaurants, stuff like what. Talk to us about what you're doing with email that's so different. Why are you getting good results and no one else is?
Yeah, so the main thing is, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, we're consistent.
Yeah.
Our posts are scheduled out. Um, even as far as 3 years, 4 years out. I mean, the main thing is consistency. You can't send three emails and then expect a response back and then just kind of fall off and then come back to it. So if you're gonna do an email campaign, definitely take the time to build it out
Mm-hmm.
in the first like preliminary stage, and then just set it and kind of let it go and just monitor it. But what we actually do, all of our email posts and email drips are really targeted towards engagement. We inform in the beginning, and then we entice engagement at the end. So just say for like you said, like you referenced our restaurant campaign. What we actually do, we actually send out some information as far as hey, when you're buying a home, make sure that you actually buy somewhere. I mean, that you like to live, work, and play, and that you actually like to do a lot of things in per se, just as simple terms. And then in the bottom to actually entice engagement, we actually ask them for recommendations on some of their favorite spots, some of their favorite parks to go to, some of their favorite restaurants, and just a number of things. And we actually get a lot of engagement with that because typically people read the emails. The main thing about emails is because I get a lot of them. There's no call to action, so it's just an email, it's just a bunch of info, and it's like, okay, I read it, I don't have anything to do with it, so I just close it or I may delete it. Versus we ask a question at the end. That's something usually important to them, so they're more entitled or enticed to respond to it.
Hmm.
Um, and they respond with, like I said, some of their restaurants and things they like to do, and then we can actually hop in there, have a conversation with them, and then ultimately end up leading them like to why we originally got connected in the first place, as far as getting qualified for a home.
Hmm. Yeah. So I like that a lot. I've written, obviously I come from a digital marketing background. I've done a lot of, I've written, and sent hundreds of millions of emails at this point to people. And one of the things I'll say is that, it's really tough to get emails open. And so when people don't know you, the thing that gets your email open is the subject line, right?
Most definitely.
But that will get your email open only to a certain point. After people open your email and they read your content, the thing that gets your email open the second, third, fourth time is actually who the email is coming from. So,
Right.
for example, so I see Greg here and Garrett here. So, Garrett, I see you're here now. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Hey, thank you so much. So, Garrett said he appreciates all the valuable info you're sharing, CJ. So Garrett, let's say you know me, Garrett. If I sent you an email, that email subject line could say almost anything. It doesn't have to be clever. It doesn't have to be interesting. It can be almost anything. But because you know me, you're going to open that email and read it. All right, same thing with you, Greg or Alina. Hey, Alina, how are you doing? So, because Alina, you know me, if I send you an email, you're going to open the email because we have a relationship, right? You know that I'm trying to communicate something with you. It could be something fun, it could be something not fun, it could be, something with your Smart Alto account, it could be something valuable, not valuable, it doesn't matter, but because we have that relationship, you're going to open the email. But when you don't know me, if you don't have a relationship with me, you don't know, like, and trust me, there is no factor there that kind of pushes the relationship forward. I need to be a little clever in the subject line. And so initially, the subject line is what gets your email open. But then after that, if you don't provide value, if you're not engaging people, if you're not informing and engaging people and giving them a reason to open your emails, every time after that, people are going to see your email name, they're just going to hit close, spam,
Right.
right, unsubscribe. Hey,
Yeah.
so Greg said he opens my email because he knows the smile behind it. Yeah, it's true. It's always a smile behind it. So, um,
I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, our open rate is consistently getting better.
yeah. What
But
is it right
something that
now?
is very, very good for us is we have an incredibly low unsubscribe rate. Almost nobody ever unsubscribes from our emails, but they do open them. It's just a matter of when they actually respond to them, and that's the main thing. We like to just give them as much info as possible. So what we're actually doing is we're taking bits and pieces of our consultation and spreading them across emails as well. So once they actually come to us, like, and we're going through our consultation, they're like, okay, yeah, I know about that because you sent an email on budgeting. So I kind of started my own budget spreadsheet and I'm aware of this now. So there's a lot of things that we take care of and save time on
Mhm.
just by the email drip.
Got it. Got it. Don't forget. I appreciate you sharing that, CJ. Don't forget there's another Facebook Live coming up in the next couple of weeks with Steve Jolly, where he's going to talk about digital marketing tools for fun and profit. He's going to share the systems, the principles that he used to guide those systems, and the tools that he uses in order to drive his business forward. You don't want to miss that. It's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, CJ, before we close out here, if you had to share, something like that you would share with the entire audience right now, the key principle, the key takeaway on how you've literally grown your business from zero. Okay, let me give you credit. One sale in 2017
Yeah, I got one, and it was at the end of the year too.
to now more than $2 million per month in sales, building your pipeline. What's some encouragement, something really positive, some encouragement that you want to share with people, something they could really focus on to help drive their business forward?
I mean, ultimately, just I mean, if you're in the real estate game for the long haul, I mean, treat it like a business and not a hobby.
Yeah.
And always play the long term game.
Mm.
Like I said, the main thing that really almost like killed us and almost drove myself at one point out of the real estate game, in the at least in the agency space. Like I said, was not being able to get as many low hanging fruit. But once we kind of flipped it on its head and played the long term game, we realized, hey, 6 months in real estate or even in time in general is not a long time. So we started playing that long term game, and even now that we focus on the long term game, a lot of them end up coming back
Yeah,
and being ready in the short term.
yeah.
But had we been going at it with a short term focus, it never would have worked like that. So we always play the long term game, and that's probably the best advice I can give anyone, because that's how you'll consistently set your business up month after month, year after year, and you're not always scrambling to make sales or create revenue for yourself and your team.
Wow, wow. Speaking like a man who's dropping knowledge. No, I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here with us, man, and really sharing a behind the scenes peek at the way that you grow your business, how you've gone from zero to multi-million dollars per month in real estate sales by focusing on the long game, investing in your business, the systems that you use. So just to recap, we want to recap a couple things that we learned today. The tools that he drives leads with Facebook ads. He uses Perfect Storm and he uses Smart Alto. He really believes keep it simple, stupid. The KISS method. Keep it simple. You don't need a whole bunch of bells and whistles. You don't need a whole lot of things. Focus on what you can control the controllables, and do those things really well. He also mentioned that he doesn't. He at one point grew his team to be really large, and then realized that bigger ain't always better. You can do more with less. You can be more efficient in your business and actually get better results. 70% of his business comes from online leads through Facebook, and then 30% of his business comes from referrals. And so those leads from Facebook, he really focuses on the long game. Remember what we talked about earlier, planting seeds and cultivating gardens. Those are the people who win in the business. Obviously, you're going to get some wins with the low-hanging fruit, but the real people who win in this business, they're not pickers. They're not
Right.
pickers. They're planters. They plant seeds, they cultivate gardens, they build relationships. He also talked about some of the different things that he's doing with email, right? So he informs and he engages in his emails. We talked about the subject lines, but we also talked about that people, they know, like, and trust him. That's why they have a very low unsubscribe rate. Remember, the CRM that he uses is Perfect Storm. He also uses Smart Alto, of course. So, CJ, is there anything else that you want to share before we go with the folks? Anything else?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, for everyone in the real estate mastermind marketing group, I mean, definitely always, I mean, I'm always in the group. So, I mean, if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out either in the group or instant message as well. And I'll love to help anybody out. I mean, that needs helps or pointers with their business. Man, definitely believe that we all got to kind of put our heads together here. I mean, had no one shared any knowledge with me, I would be nowhere near where I am today. So always willing to help. If you need anything, just feel free to reach out.
I can tell you, man, I truly appreciate that. Trying to build a really strong community here, people who want to share, people who want to give and get. So I truly appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you growing your business and sharing some of those tips and strategies and secrets with us as well. So thank you all. We will talk to you soon. Don't forget, Steve Jolly is coming up in the next couple of weeks, where he's going to share, real estate tools for fun and profit. And if you had good success here, you really enjoyed this, please give CJ a round of applause. Thank him for his time being here with you today, because the more that we can kind of elevate the personal and professional profile of folks, the more they're going to want to kind of share their knowledge here. So be sure to reach out to CJ personally, share with him that you enjoyed some of the info that was shared. For the talking to you. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yep.